if I don't need to do something, I don't force myself to do it because I have space and I don't overbook or overload myself. That was something I used to do all the time, and I couldn't. So I became the queen of no. When we realize that we're not in the best, let's say, place of employment where we feel fulfilled, where we're working, it's important to thank that opportunity anyway. Like, be grateful that you have that job at 9 to 5, because that's still giving you stability,
Yes.
and still pursue your passion thereafter.
Calling all professional neurodiverse mamas seeking to reclaim their time, energy, and focus. I have a special invitation for you. The Simplified Schedules Mini-Course will help you to uncover the top 3 things your neurodiverse brain needs to slay your day and reduce overwhelm instantly. This is the one mini course you need to get your life together without quitting your job or leaving your family. You'll also be able to leave this course with an actionable plan to create that flow and freedom you so desperately deserve. So if you're ready to learn, take action, and create flow, then you can learn more at thecharmedlife.me/simplified me. Make sure to download your copy, tell a sister friend, and I'll see you there. Welcome to We Ain't Normal. My name is Charmaine Fuller, and I'm an everyday mom sharing how I navigate my ADHD brain. Each week, we share tools, inspiration, and resources to help you uncover how to reclaim your time, energy, and focus. So thanks for hanging out with me today. Now on to our show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the We Ain't Normal show. It's your girl, Charmaine. Today, I have a new sister friend on, Lilly, and we are going to get down to the get downs to your emotional, mental health, helping you to feel empowered for real, not just about the money you're making or the moves you're making, but it all, to me, starts with that mental, spiritual, emotional health. And today we are going to dig deep into that. I had to remember to hit record because we will go off on this tangent and me and Lilly would be on this whole nother conversation without anything going. So Lilly, share a bit about who you are. I love your message and your mission, the Empowered Majesty team. So share a little bit more about that and how you serve.
Well, thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Charmaine, for having me on your show and for giving me this space to continue to do the work. Well,
Yes.
I'm a certified life and success coach that specializes in trauma recovery and confidence building. I mainly work with women, but I do like to and enjoy to work with families and groups and the youth, especially. It's just something very important to me when people seek help and that there is help out there. Because there is, unfortunately, sometimes we don't know where to look. We don't have the tools. We don't have the exposure, connections, or education, but we're out here. And it's our duty as coaches to really get out there and spread the word and awareness that mental health advocacy is not just something you do the month of May, but all year round, all day, every day.
First of all, totally agree with that we tend to focus on these one-offs. And I've talked about that a lot this season, where if this is the podcast that you came to get a quickie, this ain't it. This is just not it. This is not for you. And that's okay, because every last one of my guests, we talk about doing that deep work that we all know we need to do, but sometimes we never know where to start off at. And sometimes we never know where to pick up at if life has gotten in the way of our work. Lilly, tell me, how did you move into your own journey of spiritual, emotional health? How did that look for you as a woman, as a wife, as a mother? What did your journey look like?
I mean, sometimes we don't know we're on the journey for a while, and then we realize, well, we've been on this journey. And it really starts with questioning everything about yourself, questioning everything that surrounds you, questioning societal expectations and where you fit or don't fit, and why, right? Everything begins with the why. Why is that happening? And why don't I feel comfortable doing this? Why do I apologize? Why do I feel this way? And so the discovery starts with questioning. But for me personally, it began by reading a lot of books and trying to find that sort of empowerment on paper. I've always felt very safe when I read books because no one's telling me I'm doing something wrong. It's always been very empowering, and my imagination just ran wild, especially as a child. I was exposed to things that I wasn't in my home or in school or on TV. It was just a whole other world of possibilities. And I always felt encouraged and motivated and inspired to just either create my own world or to just push through. Like most of these characters always like overcame their obstacles. And I just felt that one day if I faced an obstacle, I could. And I would overcome it. And so through reading, I really discovered that there was more than I had led myself onto. And then from there stemmed lots of questioning, lots of heartbreak, because you realize that the world as you see it no longer is. So there's also like that grieving process of, I guess, like fantasy, things that you have to understand won't happen, things that you don't have the chance anymore to experience are no longer there. But there's also this whole world of opportunities that you learn is possible. And then you have to kind of reborn and figure out what works for me. Like what is my spiritual understanding? How am I going to continue being a person, a woman of faith without limiting myself or without, I guess, losing myself,
Yeah.
and still feel grounded. And there was a lot of terminology I'm using now I had no idea was actually faith-based and just spiritual and mental and emotional in one. But I was looking for that. I couldn't wait to find comfort and a place where I didn't feel ashamed of myself or fearful to be myself. And I'm still learning so much. And I love that I'm still learning, because that means there's still a lot more room for growth, which excites me every day, because I'm like, where's this meditation taking me? And how is this prayer going to manifest in my reality? So there's just so much that I'm learning still. And it's an exciting part of the journey to be in, because I'm just open now, whether it hurts or not. I'm still now open to feeling. And that was something I didn't do for most of my life.
I don't think we realize as much how feeling is everything. I don't know about you, but as girls and boys, I don't know, because boys are told don't cry, but then girls are told stop being so emotional. So since we're talking to women, we're going to go the young girls route. I don't know about you, but as a young, like, you're so emotional, you're always taking things so seriously, but and it's like you don't know. It's almost like your barometer gets broke, or thermometer.
Mm-hmm.
Thermometer. So yeah, barometer gets broken because you begin to not trust your intuition and what your feelings are. And so then I know for me, when I went back into this journey, I'm like, am I supposed to be feeling this way? Like, you're questioning, I don't know, but like I question my own feelings. Like, is this okay? Like, shouldn't I be serious when I do this? Or, it was just like this new discovery of who I was and this wide range of emotions that I had packed away, that I had forgotten that I had.
Yeah. I think that's, for me, it was the trauma that I endured, and I had to not listen to my intuition, because if I had, I would not have been able to survive.
Yeah.
So my brain saved me from the emotions that would have led me to even darker places, right? So I did go through depression. I did have and suffer severe anxiety, and I was on anti-anxiety meds, which made it worse. So not only did I not remember or did I not address these very deep traumas, but then I was suppressing them even deeper with these meds. And being in that journey, it took me a couple of years of soul searching and discovering certain many things that I finally found the strength to say no more. And I completely just went cold turkey off all antidepressants or anxiety meds. And I went the holistic route. And that's when I really went into like Reiki healing and doing the cupping and more meditation, and looking for ways to also get out of my head and more into my body. So working
Yeah.
out and trying different things that I didn't do before, and lots of talking. Aligning these chakras helped so much, because my heart wasn't open. I couldn't feel because of the suppression on the anxiety meds and also the trauma that did got me this far, right? So we had to ignore for survival, but I no longer had to survive. I reached a point in my life where I was like, I'm safe. I had to affirm myself that I was safe so I can feel express myself and not apologize for how I was feeling and expressing that emotion.
Much of the same thing with me. And what I found helped me, like when you start talking about modalities, I did float tank. It was like I had to get really vulnerable with myself, forget about anybody else, but I had to get really vulnerable with myself and prioritize myself and let those feelings know, like, thank you so much for protecting me then, but
Right.
now things are different. And that's huge, when you have to go, thank you for protecting me then. Thank you
Right.
so much for giving me the skill set to be able to power through and to compartmentalize all of these things. But
Yes.
right now, that's not the space that I'm in anymore. And set me free. Thank you, but set me free.
Yes. And in doing that, when you allow yourself to be expressive and to feel, you also give everyone around you that permission to feel and to be expressive, because we want our spouses and we want our children and we want everyone around us to feel safe to be themselves, but we can't ask of them what we are unable to do ourselves.
And it's hard for them to support us when we aren't even fully, the only word that's coming up is present in life.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's really
That's a
hard
perfect
for,
word.
it's like you want them to support you, but they can't because you're not even really there. And you aren't even sure yourself of what you want. You just know you want support. You just have so much gray in it that it's crazy.
Yeah.
What are some of the practical things that moms, women can start to use to cultivate this piece? What is one of the first things that they can begin to do to begin to dig into this work? And like you said, sometimes you're in it. So let's start with that. How do you know if you're already in the work? Because like I'm like you, like I was in it and I'm like, what the fuck, man?
hmm honestly, is the most simple, practical thing to do that doesn't require anything, is saying no to other people, saying yes to yourself. If and it looks differently for everybody. And even if you feel guilty after, it's okay. You feel bad, it's okay. Feel it, because that's going to bring you to questioning yourself as to why you feel that way. And then you'll accept it, acknowledge it, and then let it flow through you and out of you so you can move forward. And I say that because as women, we're yes people. We're yes, even though you're exhausted, yes, I'll do the dishes, fine, because you're exhausted. Sure, I'm not as exhausted as you are. So sure, I'll do that. Or yeah, I'll pick up so and so because you're the mom and you have to, or whatever the case is. But saying no to, let's say you're the one that's fixing the meal every day. Okay, you can go pick up takeout today because you are saying yes to yourself for an hour. You're going to
Yes.
do whatever it is. If it's a creative outlet where you're going to go ahead and paint for an hour, or you're just going to take a hot bath uninterrupted, you do that. Saying yes to myself gave me a freedom that, and an empowerment feeling and emotion that I didn't think existed. And when I said yes to myself, it was like a whole new world opened up to different opportunities. And one was just getting to know myself and saying yes to, I'm going to take the day off for me. And
Mm.
I'm going to go have breakfast with myself. I never get to do that. I'm always in a rush in the morning because Monday through Friday, I got to be at work by this time and whatever. Like, no, I'm going to take off today and I'm going to sleep in. And then I'm going to take myself out to breakfast. And then I'm going to buy a new book and I'm going to go have whatever midday coffee. I'm going to do things that if I were working, I wish I could do. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it today. I'm going to do it today. And saying yes to myself was when I realized, oh, I'm doing the things that I didn't allow myself to do before. And I feel good about it. At first, you feel strange. You feel like
Yeah.
this feels wrong. And it feels wrong because we've been conditioned to say yes to everybody else and not to yourself.
Or I'll
And
rest when. I'll rest
yeah,
when.
yeah. And so when you really start to say yes to self, it just becomes so natural thereon. It's like, okay, this feels really good. I'm not doing anything wrong. And you do have to reaffirm yourself, like you're doing nothing wrong. And at work that, things are always going to be hectic, whether you're there or not. And you're a human too, and everybody has to recharge. And don't make it bigger than what it is. Take the day or take a half day, whatever you can do without risking so much, maybe it's a tough time at work, this is probably the best time to do it. It's when you know it's so hectic. That's when you have to really pause on that and say yes to yourself.
Those were some really good tips for saying. They were great and they were simple. A lot of them were like, even if you don't have the funderation to maybe take yourself out for breakfast. I know what I used to do was the kids would go off to school and I would make the thing that I wanted to make, but I didn't want to make for everybody else.
Mhm. Yeah, and that is I love to do that. I love to do that because like, why not? Why is it that, let's say Mother's Day comes around, nobody ever knows what you really want for breakfast, lunch, dinner, what your real meals that you would prefer to have in bed or to go out. It's like you have to
Right.
tell them.
Yep.
You have to tell everyone what you want, which is not a problem, but it's funny that we have to tell them, but we know what their favorite
Oh
dessert
my
is,
gosh.
their
Yeah.
favorite anything is. And if it's their birthday, we're going to make sure that they get it.
Their
Right?
favorite meal. We've made the
Yeah.
dessert. Yeah.
Yes. The whole
It's so
nine.
funny.
The whole
Yes.
nine. They get it
Yes.
all. And so it's like, yeah, do it for yourself. I mean, I remember at one time I took off for like 2 days straight. And when I came back, they're like, "Oh, girl, you look good." Like, what? There, you went to the spa? No, I
No.
was home. When I tell you, I ordered out. I did not clean. I literally just showered and read and binged TV. And I was like, I felt like I was like playing hooky. And I was like, yep, for 2 days straight, that's what I did. And when I came back to work, people thought like I went away. And I was like, no. And I don't wish it either. I was okay. I was home and just taking care of me. And that's also okay.
Yes. Yes. And yes. So, it doesn't have to be hard. I think a lot of the times in their head, women make it hard. I don't have the money or I don't have the time. And being able to find these miniature moments that you can begin to say yes to you and take care of you, whether it's a walk outside without the kids. I've done that before too, where I'll just like everybody will be either gaming or something like that. And I just like throw on my coat and slide outside and they don't notice. They don't notice I'm gone until I come back. But it's nice to have that space and quietness for yourself.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You have to create it for yourself. You can't expect other people to do it for
They're
you.
not going to do it for you.
You have to do it. It's your responsibility 100% to ensure that you're providing yourself a space that's nurturing for you and then others.
And here's the funny thing. Once you start doing that for you more, then people, your family will begin to notice what your favorite things are. They'll begin to become more in tune. I found to become more in tune to who you are and what your needs are because now you're prioritizing yourself
Yeah.
and you're not doing, and that whole part of saying no to the humans you live with is so powerful because it allows them to now become independent, husbands included, and to begin to look for other options and other ways of handling things without always using you as the go-to person.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. When they start to see what you invest in, it just manifests itself where they're like, oh, well, she like, when I've always been an avid reader since I was a little girl. And everybody knows that I loved books. But when you start to read and leave that book here and there, like different kinds of books, but they see there's a pattern, they're like, oh, she likes these kinds of
Yep.
books. She likes those kinds of books. And she hasn't put down that book. And I hear her, like my kids will say sometimes they get in the car and they're like, oh my God, are you listening to another podcast? I'm like, yes, I'll share it with you. You don't have to hear it, but I'll share it with you in case one day you feel like listening or whatever. But I'm like, yeah, because that's what I do. So they'll know but it has been a while that I haven't, given myself that time. I have made that a huge priority in my life that if I don't need to do something, I don't force myself to do it because I have space and I don't overbook or overload myself. That was something I used to do all the time and I couldn't. So I became the queen of no.
That comes from unplugging from the grind culture too, I think. Whether you're working, I mean, it really hits hard when you're in corporate. Like it slaps you in the face daily in corporate that, there's these deadlines and if you don't meet them, then like everything's going to blow up and, disintegrate, which it's really not. And so then you come home and then your kids have been in school. And so in school, everything is this grind culture. And it's like they come to you at the last minute with stuff, and then so it always feels like you are on like 1,000 miles per hour, but you don't have gas for the whole journey. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think when you unplug from that particular mindset or culture or whatever, that you're able to go, well, I got enough time. Like I always have enough time to do the things. This is what becomes important. I always have the time to do the things that are important to me. And everything is not important to me in this moment. Like when you realize
Yeah.
that, then it's like, oh, I don't have to do that today, or I can give it to somebody else. Or hell, I don't even want to be bothered. Like it makes things so much easier to say yes or no to.
Yeah. And I think also like when we realize that we're not in the best, let's say, place of employment where we feel fulfilled where we're working, it's important to thank that opportunity anyway. Like be grateful that you have that job, that 9 to 5, because that's still giving you stability
Yes.
and still pursue your passion thereafter, right? Fulfill your duties of the 9 to 5. And you don't have to dedicate 5 and 6 hours after work to it. You could dedicate 1 hour 2 or 3 times a week to establishing and building something new for yourself that is passionate and fulfilling while you're still fulfilling your duties. We're knocking, and I think society is doing that too much, is like knocking down that 9 to 5 while we know no one's really meant to be in front of a computer and be all robotic all day. Like it just
Right.
really takes away from our human connection. But I think that it's important to have many of these positions open and available for just how things flow in our society today. But it's important to be grateful for where you are and make room for the passion until that passion brings in that revenue.
Yes.
Give yourself grace because overdoing yourself, then everything falls apart. Your 9 to 5 and your passion. And then you're going to feel discouraged to go to work every day or to come home and continue working on your dreams. So I think it's really giving yourself that space and understanding that where you are now is exactly where you're supposed to be, because that's what's going to lead you to the life that you really deserve and desire.
Enjoy where you are on the way to where you're going. And it doesn't mean that you have to be buddy buddy with everybody at work.
Mm-hmm.
Go in, you give your best. And, I will tell you what, having a passion, or if you're building something outside of work, I will tell you that makes one really leave on time. Like the time that I used to give to my job, I'm like, oh, it's 3:30. Gotta go. And I shut everything down. Like I have no problems leaving. Where before it would be like, well, I can just work for 5 more minutes. And it's like, no, because today is my 30 minutes that I'm working on my passion, and then I'm spending time with my family.
Mm,
So if I stay at work late, then it's going to throw everything off. I'm not going to get to talk to my kids, which is so important to
right.
me. I'm not going to get that time with my husband, which is hella important to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it just really, I tell you, time constraints are really a great motivator.
Oh, yeah, yeah. When you realize, because time is energy, and if you
Yes,
are not investing your energy wisely, then you're going to feel like you don't have enough time. And it's because we're not really
yes.
investing it properly.
Say that again for the people in the back, Lily.
Time is energy. So if you're not investing it properly, you're going to feel like you don't have enough time.
Yes, yes, and yes. It doesn't matter how meticulous your calendar is. It doesn't matter how many alarms you have set. If you have not mastered your energy, you will never, ever, 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 never master your time. Never,
Yeah.
never.
Yeah. And yeah, and you're right though when you say it's hard when you're in that 9 to 5. I do have flexibility. I work from home, and I realized I had to get up. I had to leave the house by 5:50 to start a shift that started at 7:45, but
Oh, Jesus.
parking and the commute and
Yeah.
things like that, because I worked in an urban district as a teacher, and I always like to be early and set the tone for the day. And I was that person that, even though that commute was really hard, because it was an hour commute, but sometimes the traffic and it was just full of trucks around me. That built up a lot of anxiety in me. So I had to kind of decompose when I got to work and then go in the building. And I still needed, 45 minutes to at least get things going. But regardless, I would walk in the building. Good morning to everybody. Like we're starting this off right, because that out there is crazy. But even now, I have this flexibility. I wonder sometimes how I did it, but we always wonder how other people do it. But it's sometimes because they have no other choice. They felt they had no other choice, and so they did
Right.
it. And a lot of times, we look back, and when we are reflecting, we realize I didn't have a choice, or we didn't think we did. And on
Right.
some level we didn't, and it's like, now that I have that flexibility, I love and adore my slow mornings and my slow evenings. But there is a window where I know my energy is at its high, and that's where
Yes.
I am most productive. So I'm not going to force my body to do something that it no longer needs to do. Now, obviously, if I find myself in that kind of routine again, I know that I can do it. But when you don't have to,
That's a
allow
different
your
game.
allow your body and your mind to flow, you are going to be so productive and creative and just at peace, because you're not forcing yourself to do anything that you don't have to do in that very second.
Yes, yes, and yes. One of the things you said in the beginning, and I don't know if people caught, but I am going to repeat it. The type of questions that you asked yourself led you down this path. I find that sometimes we as humans ask ourselves some of the most unhelpful questions in the world when things are going kind of left. Why is this happening to me? I don't
Right.
understand. And like those are not helpful questions. The question is, what is my lesson? How did I
Yes.
get here? What what is this pattern showing? Because I been here before? You know,
Yep. And you have been there before.
exactly. And the quality of those questions are going to determine if you discover that you are in a time and space where you are having some form of major growth, because we're always growing, or, if you just need to make some small pivots in how things are happening in your life. But those questions are definitely everything in cultivating those no's to things that don't serve or even energize you sometimes, and saying yes to things that definitely fuel your spirit so that you can continue serving the world as you want to see it. So
Absolutely.
thank you so much for this. Was honestly packed full of tips and ways for you to begin to
Yeah.
ascend to your next level without burning the F out and without feeling so
Yes.
overwhelmed.
Yes, I love that you said that, because some things that are summarized appear to be simple, and
Yes.
we're here summarizing what we've learned, but the learning process is extremely uncomfortable. It is difficult, but it is absolutely required.
And you are going to find yourself sometimes doing the same shit over and over again until you
Hmm.
get it.
Yes. Yep. 100%.
Okay, so you are a book nerd like me, Lily. What are you reading right now?
Right now, I actually was reading, and I had to pause it. I did not like it. I was reading a book for a mystery novel for a club, and I did not enjoy it. So I am going to start reading another book, and I believe it's called The Emotional Release. And I'm trying to get the author, because I just read another one by him, but I'm excited. I'm just looking it up real quick, because I think everybody should read his material anyway. I've read amazing books, and the one that has impacted me the most is actually Jay Shetty's Think Like a Monk. That one has taught me a lot about breath work in general. I mean, it's the first and last thing we have. It's pretty much the circle of life. So it really, really allowed a space for me to just like question again myself. Um, about where I am and how to meditate, no matter if I have 10 minutes or 2 seconds and things like that. So I love that when we have that kind of awareness through books. And this is why I have such a
Yes.
passion for books, because my goodness. So the title of the book I found is called The Surrender Experiment, and is
Oh,
written by Michael Singer. And he is also the author of Untethered, The Untethered Soul. Yes, this is a pretty newer book compared to the one that he
Untethered
has.
Soul. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, amazing author, gives it to you straight. He's not like this guru. He's just a human sharing his experience with healing. The Untethered Soul is an amazing book for those who want to learn the art of detachment, especially of the past. And so, this one that I'm going to read next, The Surrender Experiment, is kind of taking that forward
Okay.
after a spiritual awakening. So, I'm excited for this read.
Thank you so much for that. The books that Lily mentioned will also be on her page, because I like to share the love of deepening one's journey and having tools. There are so many tools available for,
Oh, yes.
for us to grow with. I want to thank you so much, Lilly, for showing up and showing out and being fully present with me today. And where can they find you in these social media streets?
Well, I am on Instagram, Lilly with a Y, double L, underscore Jeanette underscore. You could also find me on my website, lilyjeanette.com, or my coaching website, empoweredmajestyteam.com. I also have a podcast called True Lessons. And it's about these lessons we learn. Some of them are repeated. Some of them are cycled out through different lessons, but here we are. So, yeah, those are some of the pages you can find me on.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thanks so much again.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode and it freed you to see your life a bit differently. Make sure to check out those show notes in the description for a full rundown of today's episode with all the important links and resources. If you want weekly exclusive episodes with me personally, make sure to sign up for my Simplify My Life newsletter. I'd love to know what you enjoyed about this episode, so leave a review to let me know how I can continue to support you. So Mama, I want you to know, you're doing much better than you think. You're further than you believe, and you're worthy to have it all. So until next time, stay weird and keep doing you, babe. Coming up next time on the We Ain't Normal show.
This is why I love to talk about like just giving yourself grace. You're gonna mess up. Things are gonna go wrong, but it doesn't mean that it's the end of the world. It's a lesson for you to learn so you can get back up and do things differently, and just don't give up.
Want more of this episode? Make sure your podcast notifications are on and you're a part of the We Ain't Normal family by going to thecharmedlife.show to get weekly podcast updates and notifications. I'll see you there.